advantage. That is enough to secure that game lead.
100% win rate, you said outside. As we go to pick ban and Lyric, kick us off a little bit here. But top esports, we go straight into different bans this time.
Yeah, going straight with TES on blue once again. And I mean, having to adapt now both the Wukong and the Vi off the table. I wonder, JDG here, you're forced into a decision, right? Do you take away Draven once again, or do you ban out the Poppy? We talked about this earlier, Ox, but we've seen Kanavi does have other answers to the Poppy pick, but it feels like they've really leaned on Kanavi having to be in that engage role.
Okay.
And now, Ox, completely different territory, a whole new prio for junglers.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's one thing, but also the Draven being left open. JDG in the previous series left Draven open once, and JackeyLove won that game, but they've ignored it. So JDG, they dropped the Draven ban to no consequence, and now looks like they might secure Yagao on the Ahri once more.
And honestly, I just have no idea where they go here, right? Because I think we see the Ahri coming through. You could assume probably the Sivir is what follows. Lucian Nami, still there. It's what JDG preferred in their last series. But, I mean, things like the Xin Zhao, things like, I don't know, the Viego, the Lee Sin, the jungle territory, like I said, is completely new. And typically for both teams, you see jungle picked in the first rotation of picks.
But I think if there's any jungler that I think isn't phased by having your jungle priority drop to the lower levels, it's Kanavi. He's willing to bring out things like the Bel'Veth, like the Morgana when the situation arises. So they're fine to leave that. They take the Lulu, so they're not going for Lucian Nami, but it does telegraph a Sivir on 3. So now top esports don't have that same enchant we typically see matching up against the Yumi, but do have a little bit more wiggle room with what they want to go here.
Yeah, now TES. I mean, they could look to match Solane early if they don't want to get banned out with things like the Lissandra later on in the draft. So I think that makes a lot of sense coming out from them.
Yeah.
And then I guess you could wait for support once again because we have seen it go through too many times. Tien is someone who we haven't really seen have necessarily like a massive pool that he's shown this split. And one of his defining champions has been something like the Viego, which we saw a little bit at the very start of playoffs. But it felt like even once we get past this phase of junglers, right, it was things like the Trundle, it was things like the Xin Zhao that had a much higher presence.
And Orcs, you didn't sound like you liked that too much. We've moved away from Viego.
I hate it.
I don't think Viego's good at the moment.
Terrible.
I love the Viego-Lissandra combo when they were in meta, but I just really think the champion lost so much power with the nerfs. And they instead go the Renata, which I'm going to say, Missing had got so much value with that pick in the last game. And they might go for
this is
the
what I
Twitch.
thought. This is what I thought might come through, but we've only seen it really with the Yumi. I would have loved if we got it, but with JDG, with being in closing distance of another LPL title, I can get why they keep it stock and standard.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like here, the Lulu is going to give more power to the Sivir, whereas the Renata, obviously, there's that whole team fighting power. The bailout can be applied to multiple people. The ult as well has been so impactful. But now, go to the second rotation. JDG on this fantastic spot where I feel like Kanavi is always going to have something up his sleeve. He is that player who last year brought out the Shaco jungle to great effect at times. He is someone who could really lean on these picks, and you're the ones who have first pick coming out the second rotation of bans. So if they wanted, they could really pinch the pool for Tien, but instead starting with that Jax ban.
And as you said, on the other side for top esports, hard to pinch Kanavi, so we'll see their direction, because already with the Jax ban against Wayward, we've seen 369 on things like Sion so far, like Cannon as well. But top side, it's been more interesting than the meta's let on, and I'm really glad we're not going to see a Sejuani in Game 4.
I also think it's a pretty smart ban when you're like, okay, Kanavi has this weird pool, but 369 is such a huge force.
Yeah.
Ban both of them. Take away a potential flex pick.
Buy one, get one free.
That they could be able to lean on. You wouldn't expect to see it, typically with the Ahri coming in the mid lane, but still, when we're kind of down to this niche pool, I think anything is good. And now also taking away the Orange. So maybe JDG trying to push 369 and Wayward into more of a knife fight matchup.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because I feel like one of the strengths that JDG has is they get to decide which they take first, right? So depending on how the bans go, they could take top on 4 or they could take top on 5. So if they think that there's nothing to answer what 369 will play, then they could leave it to last. And what they could do here, right? Nara's open. That's one of the picks that is like really strong at the moment. If Wayward takes Gnar, then 369 could take Aatrox, or they could just push in and take this Renekton off the bat. There is options for JDG, and I feel like they've kind of dictated these last two bans.
Especially for the fact that we don't really know if Wayward has a champion that can go toe-to-toe with this in the laning phase. Heck, we saw 369 struggle heavily against this. Top Esports banned out the GP, the thing that JDG picked into it. I would expect the Gnar to come out. It's something that you can deal with it, right? You have the range, but I still feel like from those all-ins, from the time when we saw Gnar get a lot of the base, like armor and like resistance to health nerf, it's just going to be a very tough time for Wayward up in that top side.
Yeah, I mean, Mini Gnar is squishier than ever. And the thing with Gnar is that your mini form gains range as the game goes on.
Yep.
Early on, you are short range. You do feel like a melee champion can get on top of you. And if JDG really want to play through that top lane, I wouldn't surprise to see Kanavi bring it out, but it looks like he might go more stuck in standard.
Oh, we've been baited a couple of times now, I guess. We're just going to have to wait and see. Kanavi, the man of wonders in the jungle, plays so many different things. And we saw a brief bit of this, but now the Pantheon in the grand final is just the blitz.
I'm excited for this because JDG now, I mean, are leaning into a lot of early power, right?
Yeah.
Both Pantheon and Renekton, I mean, going to struggle to find an impact if they don't get ahead, but also a ton of pick potential coming out between Ahri and Pantheon. Maybe not the same as Vi, but still being able to cover a lot of distance with your ulti. Then Yagao being able to follow up with a Spirit Rush could set up to be able to find those picks, get on top of JackeyLove, and take him out very quickly.
Yeah, but I do want to see them use that early momentum these picks afford, because if you run into someone and both 369 and Kanavi are there, the double point and click CC is so hard to deal with, especially with a Charm to follow. But as we get later in the game, you know, Wayward and Xian will be tanky. Knight has the ult, and we have a Renata as well, so a single target CC may not always pay off later in the game.
And I'll hand this to you, Lyric. What has been the decider in this series so far? What has JDG and Top Esports told us that the early game, at the very least, even with Top Esports taking it the majority of the time, hasn't mattered that much. And for JDG to play early game goes back to what we knew of them in the rest of the playoffs.
No, and I feel like scaling, like, sure, you can look at like damage on paper and say who wins out. And like this series has been very close because when team comps fight out different ways, there's always opportunities. I think this is one of the most like clear distinctions of like, if this goes late, I expect Top Esports should just outright be able to take this.
Yeah, I expect them to be able to pull out ahead in that. And there's still, the Sivir Lulu is kind of the insurance, but you still want your Renekton, your Pantheon, your Ahri to have snowballed to be ahead, and then the Sivir just means you have a bit more time to work with.
It's all about breaking the script away. Now, we don't know who writes it. We don't know who sets it up. But for JDG, if they can win here on match point in the grand finals, they would be breaking the short history that we have between these two teams. Top Esports, JDG, has always gone to a Game 5 grand final when these two met. In 2020, or to quote Munchables on this, 2020 Part 2 that we're now in, always delivers a Game 5. But for JDG, not only to break that script, but to go further and lock in first seed at Worlds for the first time ever, relies on that early game you guys talk about here, and for JDG to step up beyond limit.
Yeah, but Kanavi on the Pantheon.
Yeah.
As we said, when the pool gets pinched, he brings out some of these curveballs, but also a pick with so much agency. We saw how he played the Vi last game. Honestly, kind of akin to how you expect a Pantheon to play, just all aggression all the time.
God, man, Wayward just starts. Oh, there we go. All right. Spamming the laugh, the emote as well. There's been a bit of damage, as you guys were saying before. It's not that that bro off, you know, looking at each other. No one's going to violate the
That was
truth.
the long play, right?
Yeah.
A whole season of not hitting each other when they're just standing off against each other in top lane.
Yeah.
And in the grand finals, you get a little bit of harass that makes all the difference.
And I love now that, you know, Wayward in the first couple of games, Orcs, we didn't get the emote. Like, it looked like a little bit of nerves, right? And game 2 and 3 as well. But Wayward seems to have calmed down a little bit. We saw that insane play in game 2 as well on the Gnar. And as we run back in, you know, Wayward here on the Gnar. Lyric, I know you had some concerns here in the matchup in the top side, considering that 369 on one of his most played champions.
It's so interesting too, right? Because this used to be a matchup where you thought of it as in the isolated 1v1, Gnar does well. Renekton, once to link up with jungle, you have the setup, you do better in 2v2s than Mini Gnar is able to offer. But then once we got things like the durability patch coming through, and then once Gnar himself also specifically took some small nerfs, that's where we've seen, at least in LPL, Renekton is typically able to get ahead, even if you're going to get like traded out like this with the tethering that Gnar can be able to do, the all-in can suffice and match the damage that Gnar is able to put up.
Yeah, I feel like especially... Oh, go for a heavy engagement.
A little bit early.
Yeah.
That's a cleanse as well. JackeyLove getting poked out as Mark is now facing up against Hope, but Top Esports still looking a little bit cocky, but JackeyLove shouldn't be heal. Flash away, cleanse. Oh my God.
What is this?
Hope and JackeyLove. You know what? That AD carry battle, again, Hope steps up.
It's crazy to me as well, because when we saw this matchup last time, it was Top Esports bot lane coming out ahead in the 2v2, but it's Hope and missing this time around. Able to get the best. Ox said it earlier, JackeyLove said to Hope, if you can get past me, you are the best AD carry. And at least at the start of this game, he does it.
Oh, but Yagao might be in some trouble.
Glacial Path, a great pillar as well. Yagao still has the flash available as Kanavi's now coming in the Pantheon with the 3-hit strike. It heads into the shield. And Tien unable to follow up anymore. So Yagao holds onto the summoner, and Kanavi here in the nick of time.
I love just the patience from Yagao. Doesn't burn the cleanse. I feel like a lot of middle laners would have just burn it on instinct there to get away from the damage, but trust in his jungler. Trust that you want to keep that summoner up, which is so important, especially when the Lissandra does hit that level 6 point. And we'll see the replay at the bot lane. And Mark just going super aggressive here. But the level 2 hits as he flashes in, the turnaround comes in. And this is the thing, right? Renata has long cooldowns early in the game. In the laning phase, the Lulu is the one who gets the rotation up sooner. You can see here the flash in, and Mark has nothing to assist his AD carry with.
And Hope picked up the kill as well. Noon Quiver now in inventory.
Huge, and I mean, they also picked up a plate on top of that, so having that nice gold acceleration. As JDG, you already expected to be able to win out in the top side. You have a very potent mid-jungle 2v2. Like, if you're able to connect either of those CCs, like, a kill will just come through. Top Esports now trying to find a response.
And there's a stun there as well. Wayward has it locked down into the 1v2. 369 with the flash available. Look, Kanavi's here to help again, but it's too late. Not going to burn the summoner, and 369 is punished.
Nice job coming out from TES to be able to punish up in that top side. We know 369 was going to be looking to push that advantage forward. And even look at where Kanavi is on the minimap. Like, he was on his way up to find an impact in top lane, but top Esports were faster.
And that's the thing. This is how you have to play the matchup as a Renekton. You can't just sit back, otherwise the Gnar will just harass you down. You have to be willing to dash in to find favor in the trade. So Tien with a great lead and a much needed advantage for top Esports. I feel like the fact that bot lane has already started rough, you really want to make sure the top lane doesn't get ahead. Remember, the bot lane for JDG was just supposed to be the insurance for the late game.
Yeah.
If this Pantheon Renekton gets ahead as well, it could be devastating.
And you can see that top Esports know this advantage. They can see Hope and Missing building up a wave.
Oh, the timing.
Here.
Remember, they used the summoners before as well, and Tien, all he needs is a pillar, and you're right. Knight coming down. Everyone wants to be part of the party, and Hope not getting a moment to breathe with Knight picking
and
his
it's
pillar.
really nice, right? We can see Tien making use of the tempo advantage he has, goes up towards top, gets that play, gets the reset down. Kanavi had just made his way up to top, so it gives you this window where you can look for this play bot. Sadly, Hope and Missing, they'd stacked a wave, I think wanting to get a bit of vision for themselves and just getting punished in the key moment coming through. I do think for JDG, though, we're looking more at level 6 for like when the Pantheon comes online before you really expect this comp to explode onto the scene. But we still said we wanted to see them fighting that early advantage.
Yeah, and I feel like any moment like this will set it back, right? The fact as well, Knight has that extra kill. He's now just got his ult available. If you start to opt in some of those skirmishes and you don't win them quickly, like the power of the Lissandra can be so potent. Trundle and extended skirmish is super strong as well. And if you start to get a kill, those frozen thralls come in. Get the reset mechanic of the Renata if Mark can make his way up. So I feel like JDG still in a fine position, but definitely once that 6 is hit, want to be the ones setting the pace. And actually, if you look, Kanavi was behind on the plays, but has built up a farm lead. He now has that ult available. If you start to make a play happen, he will be there.
And I like that he's changing plans from what we've seen JDG typically do, playing more down towards your bot side. Be flexible with the fact that your bot lane won on their own, and it looks like Hysterics, they're looking to set up one of these plays. Top Esports do have full health bars.
Responding.
Top East,
Knight does have his ulti available as well. Glacial Path taking him just too early. He's stunned up with the Mortal Will passive coming in red hot. Knight will ulti in, but the 2v2 is still going on as Tien now trying to abuse the fact that he's a Trundle. Doing it well, matches the flash, and Tien in control. The Frozen Thrall there too, as Top Esports get out alive.
Exactly what I was talking about. The extended fight, Trundle's so potent at just doing that sustained damage with a short cooldown on your bite. Kanavi and Yagao had the upfront burst, but onto Lissandra, this is the power of the pick, right? You can buy so much time.
Yeah, it's just so rough coming through that they aren't able to find it out. The ulti is there. And just kind of even looking across the board, really hard to find those targets. We'll see here, JDG go down to bot. It kind of pulls Top Esports in, but they commit everything on tonight. Sadly, Yagao not really able to connect any more damage. And once the ult comes through, like you said, Trundle winning out in the extended fight.
And the great thing is Knight is so patient with the ult. He knows the front-loaded burst has come through. He can back off and buy time. And this is even better for Top Esports, the ult being burned. And I feel like it's kind of similar to Nocturne. You want your first ult on the Pantheon to like really get you some momentum, get your kill.
Oh, no timing.
No.
And Missing's caught out, has to flash away, but with the exhaust down, they have the chase, and Jackie with the movement speed. Kanavi now coming in, and the Mortal Will being fully stacked pushes away Tien, but just a pick with great timing from Top Esports.
Right, and we saw, like, the one thing that the Kanavi ultimate did get was he got Mark to flash. But now, flash reciprocated on the opposite side, coming out from Missing. So even the little that play was able to get ends up being nothing. Wayward's doing fine on the top side ever since that early gank came through, and just across the board, I think Top Esports have done a really solid job. Even look at Jackie Love's CS lead. Like, across the board, we said, hey, this team's going to outscale.
Yep.
They're already off to a phenomenal lead.
A 1K gold lead, pretty significant. And on that note, Orcs, I wanted to ask you a little bit about transitioning to neutrals now, with both bottom lanes backing and seemingly heading top.
Well, I feel like, Tian, on the Trundle, you're so strong on neutrals, because not only do you have good single target damage, but also when the neutral dies, you heal for a percentage of its HP. So compared to other junglers where starting the neutral can leave you low, as long as you finish it, you should be in a comfortable spot. You can see already Top Esports have moved their members over there. If they can secure this Herald, it really puts JDG in a bad spot.
Kanavi jumping in. There's a handshake that kicks it off. There's the tomb down as well, taking a lot of damage, but Knight only just gets out. The end of the claw, while Top Esports use that distraction to get the Herald.
Yeah, they get the Herald. They don't allow JDG to get anything mid lane, so it just feels like Top Esports are really edging ahead on every encounter here.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where I can understand how JDG wants to try to force their in and find that fight because of how we set up them wanting to find the lead.
Yep.
But with no ultimate on Kanavi, I think it makes it really hard to just go straight into Herald. So you need to try and find that pick mid first. Sadly, just not being able to connect. And now for Top Esports, I mean, we've already seen TN doing a great job of finding early pressure. We don't even have that pressure on Top Esports as a whole to make these plays possible. When you have a pillar, when you have Knight, who just has so many tools to lock you down, I think for Top Esports, you can just keep looking at a similar play pattern, right? We can see him pathing down now already. You could potentially look mid if you want to try and burn an ulti or a cleanse, or you can just start heading straight back towards the bottom lane and looking to punish Hope and Missing.
For me, I feel like Missing being no flash, that makes me think it's the logical option.
Yeah.
You can see Knight has priority mid, so you can make a lean down. If you get the tower down bot, one, you secure gold for Jackie Love, fantastic, but also you can lean into that dragon that's up and available. And we've seen, you know, the fact that soul coming in game 2 was such a massive factor. Securing an early dragon can make all the difference.
And when you guys are talking about the fact that this team on Top Esports rather has such good scaling, when we're talking about a timer, being such a late first dragon, the latest of the series so far, also feels like a significant note.
Oh, wait. Hysterix looks like Jackie Love.
Yeah, he's going to ulti, trying to get the movement speed to get out, flashes immediately, but here's Mark to help on out. He's got a bit of range now with the Ultra Shock Laser, getting spell shielded, but Top Esports AD carry is saved after burning double stun.
Having that pry off from mid and having TN again on the up and up means Jackie Love does get to survive. But when we were just talking about, you know, missing no summoners, very juicy, could punish. Now Jackie Love is in that same boat. Will be a bit harder, but Kanavi's ult back on the board. So if they do looking to push in a wave and bot, he could just be setting himself up to be punished.
Yeah, and I feel like the thing was they really felt in control. They had mid prio, TM was on the dragon, they had the wave prio bot. It kind of, well, Jackie was about to achieve it. They kind of felt like there was nothing that could really challenge them. So Hope and Missing found this fantastic window to cause some problems. Speaking of problems, 369 is not having fun in this top lane matchup.
Oh, it's been so rough. Like we said, when he wasn't able to start finding that early domination, Wayward just doing a great job. And overall, just coming into this series, getting subbed out, coming back in and showing a much better performance than last time has been great. But you can see both teams look like they're looking to set up a plan on bot side. Top Esports already making the roam over. I wonder if they find Kanavi.
That ward going to do a lot as well. Glacial Path would seal it, but Knight's not going to take it. And Hope just getting zoned off the turret with quick movement from TES. Forcing a response as Yigao's coming in, but Tien is running into him. This Ahri might need to ult, might need to flash. It depends on what Missing does as well. As over, Tien just pushes him out, and Yigao has to respect the trundle.
Once again, great patience from Yigao, not to be in the ult, not to be in the summoners, which clearly was what Tien was trying to get off him, but he does still get chunked out. You'll see JDG trying to move down towards the bot side again to push in this wave, and it's just a constant back and forth of control of the area.
And it becomes a lot harder, I think, now for JDG to look to punish Jackie Love like they'd hopefully want, because now Mark's level 6. Hostile Takeover is online, so anytime you overcommit, we're kind of in a scenario where in this meta, if you can find the spot for Renata, there's just so many champions that full-on commit. Like, as Pantheon, even as Renekton to a degree, I'm sure you have 2 dashes, but you don't really have an exit path.
Oh, I remember this. Let's bully him down. Instant cleanse, though. Beautiful to see as a response from JDG. He includes a flash onto Tien. He's out, though, but JDG will not give up with the handshake. Even better. Hostile Takeover now down, as that was a lot burned.
And that was the perfect example, right? Like, once you go in, this Renata can just shut down so much of what JDG's comp want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Tien would have for sure Secure being dead, without a doubt, if Mark hadn't hit that hostile takeover and then also had the handshake to buy even more time. And look, Kanavi, flash bin, 369 flash bin, a lot was committed there, and they weren't rewarded.
And now I'm starting to see why this team was banning Renata against Mark. Starting to see the respect that was given over in the semi-finals. We're looking on our screen right now, though, as Herald, okay, decides to go back, thinks about it, having a couple of issues, but just trying to drop it down for mid, it seems.
I also want to say I can see why this series always ends up going 5 games.
True.
Because obviously right now we're pretty even, but I still feel like Top Esports, with the drafts we've ended up with, are in a much better spot. Every game has been down to like the inches in team fights, but so far so good for TES. Still holding those same like CS leads coming through. Very small in mid and bot. We know Tien is behind in jungle, but also Pantheon not as efficient with gold as, you know, the likes of a Trundle is.
Yeah, absolutely not. And obviously he does. Oh, Hope
This
might
is
be
going to
in
hurt. This is
trouble.
going to hurt so much. He's got flash available, though. On the hunt, going to be starting it off. Tien's pillar, great, though. His spell shield does nothing, but it is
The
just Hope's ulti.
patience. You keep highlighting the patience, Ox. We see it again.
Just not willing to bin these summoners, holding on to them, which is so impactful. And
Yep.
something I want to note is that the Dragon hasn't been touched. It's coming up on 14 minutes, and it feels like neither team has really found a window. We've been posturing around bot constantly, but looks like JDG now feel like they have the advantage to go for it. But it has been such a delayed Dragon. The earliest soul we can get at this point will be, you know, going up to about 30 minutes in the game.
Yeah, and I feel like a big part of this has been this Dragon specifically is due to the fact that Hope was already here, had Kraken Slayer online. Jackie Love's just coming out from base and has finally picked up the Immortal Shield Bow, but JDG definitely having more immediate power in that last fight.
As we now get to the second Herald as well. Yagao is pacing. Look at Knight's angle. He was on the wrong side of the map, and Top Esports are trying to cave in. Yagao with summoners. Yagao with ulti, though. Hiding in fog of war, waiting for this one to spur out as it's simply just towards a mid push. And Yagao isn't going to be caught with his pants down. Second Herald, though, Orcs coming up in 10 seconds.
Yeah, I feel like because JDG committed to the Dragon on bot side, they're going to be slower on the map. They are reset and took longer. They've decided they're not really going to lean towards the Herald. Instead, they're just heading the bot lane bot. And
Who knows, though?
never truly know in this series,
True.
I do have to admit, but I feel like they'll just maybe contest some vision. Maybe try and secure Kanavi's red buff, but it is still going to be, if you look towards the bot lane, a play from Hope and Missing to secure this tower and trade on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I think it's huge as well, right? Because now Top Esports, I mean, you can lean top. They have numbers advantage on this side of the map now with both Jackie Love and Mark in mid lane. So knowing that JDG can see top, and even now, going to have to give up mid because Herald is coming down.
That's going to have the map to himself. Hope, though, as you mentioned, first turret blood goes to JDG. That almost 2k gold lead comes down a little bit, but Top Esports grouping up as a four-man unit. What do you guys reckon? Are we going for inner turret towards mid?
I think you have to look for it to make it a worthwhile trade. Like, mid-tier 1 is still a fantastic one to take, but they want to continue this here. It's still 4v3 because Hope is bot.
Oh, it's a
Wait,
flash engage, actually. Here's the Ultra Shock Laser as well. Look at Jackie Love sitting in the back. Might be early game, but this Theory has space. And Top Esports win in a game 4. They step up big.
They take 2 turrets mid. They get a kill. Wayward's getting a turret for free on top side. And they're just saying, okay, that the gold inching a little bit closer for JDG. Now Top Esports starting to build that momentum once again.
And I feel like the thing we really praised was JDG's ability to cross-map in these scenarios and keep the gold close, right? Game 1 was the one where we really saw that as an example, which allowed them to lean into the late stage of the game. But here, it feels like maybe the desperation from JDG, trying to make sure that they don't fall behind, ends up costing them even more.
And we're seeing, right, just we were hyping up Kanavi and his ability to pull out anything, but on this Pantheon, not able to find the impact since he wasn't able to start getting going early. Nothing came from it. But we see here, Top Esports get the second charge coming through, and JDG think this is their avenue to go for an engage. But look at Knight, immediately gets on top of Yagao, forces him out. Kanavi now left in no man's land, and neither 369 or Hope are there to help.
Yeah, and I feel like with the Pantheon, you have that brief window with your E, with your stun, where it's very hard to deal with you in a fight, right? You've locked someone down, you're invulnerable from one direction. As soon as that ends, though, you are pretty much worthless. And you saw what happened in that fight, just the easy cleanup to come through. So things are starting to look rougher and rougher for JDG in a 2k gold deficit as of right now. But the one thing to say, is it was a very late first dragon, and they are the ones who took that one.
Okay, so one dragon, but 2 minutes until the next. And let's just come back to WinCons before we see these teams scatter again. You mentioned, both of you, saying that top esports, we look at the champions on their side, the scaling good here. And for top esports, time is what they have now for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like for JDG now, all you can hope for is picks, right? Like what they're doing now, playing out through brushes. You have an Ari and a Pantheon, hoping someone from TES oversteps and you kill them off in a side lane. But going toe-to-toe, going head-to-head, I think is quite hard. And we can even see now, right? Double Gore Drinker built for JDG. We already have a ton of Grievous Wounds coming out on the side of TES.
Sure.
Both Wayward and Knight picking those up. And just overall getting to some really nice item breakpoints. The silver lining is hope. Is on 2 items on the Sivir. Can be the one to try to pull things forward. But I still just don't see how you have the front line to be able to get through the fight, because now with both Pantheon and Renekton behind, you really don't have the burst to take out any members of TES right away.
Oh, but they're looking for an engage.
Going for it here, the Grand Starfall comes through. Tien with the immediate flash in, but he's been bailed out for the time being. Yagao jumping forward, but Tien just doesn't die. Wayward comes in at a range, and JDG attempting to foil the play, but top esports won't die either.
But look, not that much. Off cooldown soon. The major thing is the summoners, right? We have about 40 seconds until those dragons. A lot of those ults that JDG burn will come back. But flash down for Knight, flash down for Tien, flash down for Mark, all going to be unavailable for the next dragon fight.
It's going to be very rough coming out for them. So maybe a chance that JDG can use that to punish. And now using this opportunity where, hey, we were able to find this, have 369 get some gold on the opposite side of the map. But he has to get the hell out of there, utilizes the TP. He's going to be able to escape. Rough with JDG maybe having to come from behind on the play because Wayward does have TP, but now with both Tien and Wayward up here, there really isn't anything they could do.
I mean, 1 minute to 1 second rather till Dragon as well for JDG as they head down towards bot. Look at top esports setting up for the inner turret in the top lane. Right now, trying to make the gold trade and continue this game being in their favor. As JDG, as you said, it's a late soul anyway.
Yeah, but this feels so risky because if there's anything that can turn a game into a team's favor as it gets into the later stages, it is a soul, right?
Yep.
And we'll see which one it is, which one it ends up being could make a big difference as to how viable that is. But regardless, you know, it's not just the fact that they're leaning towards that soul, but also the stats given over. Hextech Dragon, just one dragon.
Oh, Yagao.
Oh, Yagao might be caught.
He's got everything available, but look, Jackie Love just follows him over the wall. Pillar to slow him down as well. Top esports might be turned on because Kanavi has joined on in. But look at the shielding as well. Jingdong are going to bring in their bottom lane, but top esports have already shown that they're doing enough damage.
I'm surprised that JDG feels so confident looking for this. 369 is no TP. Knight does. You know, I don't know how well they're tracking that, but still, top esports, I think, could have been more confident in taking that fight, and JDG would have been in a very rough position. Luckily, top esports not able to punish on anything, but still going to choke them out from their own jungle camps, get pressure down onto top side turret, and JDG not really able to answer with anything. They are keeping up pressure in the spot side matchup, but I think Knight on Lissandra is fine. Like with that ulti and just with the ability to lock Renekton down and then be able to escape, right, throw out the W, E away. The 369 really doesn't actually have too much pressure on the turret itself, just has pressure to keep the wave pushed in, maybe get his own vision, and you know, that's that.
It gives window to rotate over if you see an opportunity if someone oversteps, because now we're in a position where with tier 1 tier 1 mid down from JDG, if top east will start to push up too deeply, that's where you can find those flank angles. It is going to be that Ocean Soul, which I feel like JDG probably would have been hoping for something else. Oh, they're looking for Tien.
Yeah, look at this movement again. Kanavi's ulti being in question as Wayward is going to get the scuttle, but not help out Tien, because that would be too cool.
It's so sad.
Just what?
Yeah, just spectators, you know? Sometimes you send one of your members into the Coliseum and you see how he fares. He was the summer MVP, Hysterics.
True.
You don't think he could do it?
No, I don't.
Well, I mean, he didn't, so, you know.
Sorry, I'm speaking as Wayward right there.
I was going to say, you do have hindsight.
Yeah, but... I do. 2020, right? You know, Wayward rookie the split as well, so which title's more important? At the very least, I want to come back because for JDG, that pick-off doesn't lead to anything, it seems, gents, but at the very least, you know, more gold for JDG to try and play with.
Yeah, and it just gives more windows to get control over the map, but I still feel like JDG aren't really finding any of the opportunities they really need to get back in the game. And that's something to mention as well. Like, the way the engage works for JDG is kind of like someone dives forwards, whether it's, you know, Kanavi with the ultimate or Yagao, and it's like landing one singular CC on one target, right? They only really have that single target CC, and so as a result, it's quite hard to find windows to start a team fight. Get getting a pick, that's fine, but a full 5v5, you really need top esports to be in a position they can capitalize on. And for now, they've just been happy picking up waves.
And the rough, I feel like the roughest part is, right, the only real member I feel like you can immediately burst out is Jacula, but at the same time, you need Mark to not be sitting right next to him. To bail him out, to throw out the hostile takeover, just like all these things that he could do to buy time. And you know what? Mark's always there. Mark's always with his boy.
And he has cleanse as well. So I feel like if you do come into that situation, it can backfire massively. And we do see, you know, Warmog's now picked up by Tien, so he's going to be super bulky. And I feel like that's one of the things we've seen picked up quite a few times when you just want as much raw health as possible. Remember, Shandy did it on Shyvana.
We're going to have to pause, though, because the play being started up. That's double ulti from JDG. The pillar not on the right side, so Hope gets away. But Hope's ulti, we get Yagal's ulti as well. A minute 30 before Dragon comes up.
Yeah, this is the timing where you look to try and burn summoners because your ult will be back up in time for the Dragon, but summoners won't. But unfortunately, they don't find anything because it's just not the most reliable way to burn something to start a fight. Whereas on the other side, you know, if I'm top esports and I have a pillar against the mobile champions or the ult from Knight, I'm much more able to just start fights, burn summoners, get an advantage.
And with the fact that JDG just committed so much mid there, it allows for top esports to go to this. Commit Wayward down to the bottom half of the map. You don't have anyone on top side. They'd already overloaded this bottom side to, you know, be able to contend with what JDG were doing. Sure, JDG are getting the push in top side, but Knight recalls in time to be able to answer this. So overall, just a positive play for TES.
And I love the game that dictates whether TES go to a game 5 or not. Comes down to more concentrated play, more calm play, right? Because as we said,
this isn't a bloodbath.
No. We saw this, well, I was going to say, you know, we get to that point, and the last game was a little bit slow to kick off, but then when it did, we went down the water slide 5 times.
I feel like that's something as the top esports have really pushed in a lot of areas to try and find something. Hey, let's try and burn a summoner of Yagal or Hope, and JDG being kind of resilient in maintaining their summoners, and I think one of the big things with these teams is once they burn a summoner, they will make you really feel it. They will constantly again and again re-gank, re-pressure, and because that hasn't happened, it has been slower despite the attempts, but now 15 seconds on Dragon, both teams are posturing.
Yeah, JDG are trying to use this window to fish. If Yagal can find a charm like he did last time around, right, that could be the difference maker. Dracula has been known to walk forward very aggressively, but look at where Knight is on the minimap. He's trying to find an angle to come in on the flank, and he knows Hope, the member he has to punish.
In a high-pressure situation, can Knight do it? Kanavi blocking the damage as Knight now not in the best. As JDG move down to River for top esports, they have to walk in now.
It's kind of risky for Knight because he's used his sweeper, he's used his control ward. He knows he's not on vision now, but he doesn't know how much vision he'll walk through next, and he finds 369.
He does, locks him down, Wayward into Meganar as well, so 369 has to pay respect. But 5 members down front of this Dragon trying to stop JDG from getting the third. Hope and Kanavi repositioning, kiting back. The engage there from Knight on 369. But top esports get the Dragon. Now for JDG jumping in for the fight. Yagao and that pick potential. They're trying, but Knight right now as he flashes away the glacial path. He's out, he's over the wall. Hope will get Mark on the back end though, and they eventually follow up. But top esports, hang on, you're on a ward, Wayward, as Kanavi tries to follow him up, but JDG do get some kills.
And I mean, Baron's up if JDG want to look for it. Also mid lane.
Oh my god, Yagal. That's just again the RE pick for this man has to be respected as TP comes in. Orcs, I hate that you're right.
But they're just buying time now. Wayward has to recall before he TPs back in. And with Mark dead, do they even have a ward for him to TP too? It's feeling really desperate, but Tian knows he has to try and contest this.
And look at Yagal, might not have enough mana on the backside, but still there, threatened out as Tian is running forward. The pillar to slow them all down, as you mentioned TP. Wayward has come through mid, and Knight's up in 5.
I feel like it's a nice thing for the side of JDG, like surprising that they never feel too desperate. They never, you know, in this moment we could be like, okay, it has been a struggle. They do have this Zeri who's, again, kind of slowly coming online. We need to go for it. Hope on the opposite side, though, just picked up his Infinity Edge. Now going to be incredibly strong. Top esports, again, they're a bit beefy, but still not a whole lot of armor or anything coming out just yet. So I think Hope is going to be able to do a lot to these key members.
And I think the thing is that LGR really makes a big difference with the 7 cutting through the front line. But your ricochets are still going to really hit on the backline members. And
like
here's the Dragon here, but yeah, the bounces coming through, I believe, is what actually ended up killing Mark here with the ricochet. Yeah, bounces off here. Like, I mean, I know he's on low health, but even so, to just die outright to the ricochet, really rough. Obviously, didn't expect it, could have moved away from Tian.
Double bounce.
Yeah, but they lose 2 members there. But at least they got the Dragon. But realistically, Ocean Dragons, the individual power, doesn't mean much, right? The health regen is great in lane. Late in the game, it's not that impactful. Unless top esports can get a full soul, which they are a long way away from, that one dragon is mostly a denial.
As you said, late Dragon Heroes, it looks like the Observer's gone full serious, right? They're like, hang on, it might be going to a Game 5. We've changed overlays
we had some bugs with the dragon timer. I noticed after that fight, it was showing like 15 seconds till dragon is up, then 45. I'm like, okay, it's a bit wacky, so gonna have to go with this setup for the time being.
I gotta say though, I would be totally down for dragon to just spawn endlessly and get constant team fights.
A random timer, like you kill dragon, and it's a completely random time what's up next. Oh, it's up in 3 seconds.
Go again. Oh, man, adding Chaos into League of Legends. Well, speaking of Chaos, JDG are formulating their mid-push, but look at Top Esports with the pillar out yet again, are trying to find the fight that leads them into the Game 5. And you can see how conservative, how pulled back these teams are being when all, what's the word I'm looking for? Holds barred. For this Game 4. There we go.
I do got to say, for JDG, I like how they're staying grouped up as this 5-man unit, trying to take advantage of this like small window and the small spike. Where, again, Hope, honestly, I feel like is strong enough now to where JDG can feel comfortable taking fights. And Yao goes in.
It goes on in for the dive as well. Jackie Love going to get stunned up on the turret. Watch Kanavi, but he hasn't finished the job. Hasn't sealed the deal as JDG get the turret. But now will they get knocked into a wall? Wayward doesn't have flash. So JDG just with the turret and getting out.
And this is the big thing. With that Baron start from JDG, that is what burnt Wayward's teleport. Imagine that same scenario, but the Mega Gnar TP's in behind you.
Oh, yeah.
JDG would have been dead. So that's what they got out of that earlier Baron play. Now it looks like Top Esports toying with the idea of doing something similar. It will at least stop JDG's recalls, but they realize nothing's going to happen, and they will go for the reset. It is now another dragon in a minute 30 that we're looking towards.
And I feel like by that time, Jackie Love should have his Infinity Edge. He actually might even have it right now. He's been sitting on these 2 components for quite a while. We can see him going for that back. And that has been the continuous power spike we've talked about all series long for when Jackie Love will be able to take over. Now going into Dragon in 1 minute, we're going to look which teams can take control of bot side. Right now, JDG does have some shallow vision there, but with TES having some presence up towards top side, I feel like it's making JDG guess of like, hey, what are Top Esports going to be looking to do?
Yeah, I feel like with the AD carries at this point, they both do like pretty crazy dragon damage to neutral objectives, like the Baron. So you have to keep somewhat of an eye on that objective, because if you overcommit to the dragon, neither team is going to get soul off this next dragon. But if you lose a Baron for it, that could be so costly, especially. You got to remember, Top Esports down 2-1 in this series. JDG with the last win.
A pick on the night. No.
Engage. But yeah, JDG the last ones to win in this matchup and still leading the series now.
And JDG doing a great job of not only like controlling mid-wave, but like walking up with presence in enemy jungle as a 5-man unit, which makes it very hard for Knight to be able to find anywhere to wrap around and get a flank angle on, which is what I really like, those wards around the top side river, trying to prevent Knight from being able to wrap around coming from behind like he was trying to before.
But Yagal's trying to wrap around the bottom side, almost caught out. Charm does connect though onto Knight, who trying to get the counter flank, the counter play, the counter punch. Knight is going to go golden, or rather invulnerable in the choke, flashes away. Glacial Path out as well as Kanavi jumps on in onto Tien. And the damage against Top Esports is huge as Jackie Love chases down 369. It's Chaos yet again as Wayward hits the 1-man ulti, but Kanavi is a bruiser. And JDG now have members to go to Dragon.
I think Top Esports happy with this because Knight can respawn in, TP back in. And bear in mind, Hope in his flash on that one. Yagao no ult. That's a big power loss for JDG. And Top Esports feel confident now.
Yeah, we're going to see them just go right to the Baron, try and force them in. They aren't starting up. They're just trying to bait JDG and make them think. But now with vision down, we see it started. They have given Yagao enough time to get in here. Wayward nowhere close to Mega, but still a lot of key ults up on the board like Marks.
Yagao behind as Knight gets the root down at 5k. Baron stops. They turn for the fight. The lightning crash down from Jackie Love onto 369. He's buying time as Knight now gets away from Kanavi. But the hostile takeover hits the edge and hits 2. Flashing forward. Top Esports can feel it. They can feel the 5-game series again. Hope has done so much so as the rookie 80 carrying the grand finals. But Jackie Love yet again is the god of ADs.
And Top Esports were so patient with the fight. They knew they had options. They chunked them out low, go straight to the Baron, and we saw the impact of Mark's ulti, and I just love how decisive they were on going with the re-engage.
I just love that the fact they capitalized, they got Yagao's ult, and that was enough. Just the fact Ari doesn't have that pivotal tool was enough for them to feel so confident in this fight. They push forward aggressively. They have the Mega ramping up, but once again, the Renata, this hostile takeover, really causes so many issues for JDG.
And then we see, right, just the re-engage, able to follow up, gives Wayward time to be able to jump in. Zeri following through with the damage. Jacula, as always, incredibly aggressive with what he's looking to do. And now, I mean, it feels like we're at a point where Top Esports comfortable control, sitting on the 2 Ocean Drakes with the 5k gold lead. But still, it seems like TES are very comfortable to be patient, play this out, and kind of allow members like Jacula to be the ones to start taking the reins.
One thing I will say, when you have a Sivir, the fact that you have so much wave clear, even with the Baron waves, not the easiest to push against. So I expect Top Esports might need to try and find a pick or burn some summoners or do something more if they want to get full value out of this Baron. And already JDG doing a fantastic job of like catching these waves early. And every time you do something like this, you're just delaying the Baron time that Top Esports has.
So then I want to go a little bit deep into it, Lyric. You know, with the Baron, tell me the ultimate push, the ultimate move for Top Esports as they now look for setup.
I think for TES, you probably just want to look to play out their 2 lanes. Like, they actually have the laners to be able to play all 3, but you risk JDG just overloading 1 lane so heavily. You can put Wayward inside. You can see he's incredibly strong in the 1v1 right now, and just keep pivoting back and forth between mid and bot. The problem they're running into now is kind of like Ox said. They put Hope in mid, and it's like, oh, doesn't even matter with Baron. Wave just gone.
Yeah, it really makes it difficult to push forwards. And I know Top Esports would love to find a fight right now, but JDG, if they just try and stall it out, they'll be in a good position to sort of try and contest later on. There is a gold deficit still, but I think the main thing to note on is that Jacula had 3 items and nothing else after the last fight. He bought a whole GA, but because Hope was ahead, he's on 4 items as well now. This Sivir is really doing a ton of damage if she gets a chance to free hit.
And we're going to see if they're able to do it here, because JDG's still making their way over. Luckily, they can keep Kanavi mid because he does have the ult to be able to join up at any time, and JDG just constantly staying as this close-up unit, making sure that Top Esports can't find those windows.
Yeah, I think that tier 2 wasn't really defendable, but they trade the tier 2 for the wave in mid, and it's just buying as much time as possible when they can. There is those 2 empowered minions up, but they have the long-range damage to try and clear those out. You can see Yagao gets rid of them, and now, although a wave is coming in mid, the waves aren't aligned, they're not synced up, so JDG is just going to move back and forwards and be able to clear them out. They're doing a great job of stalling this.
And I think JDG's, like, it'd be kind of hard for Top Esports to think to just full-on dive JDG. Maybe with the Meganar, they could do it if him and Knight synchronize going in. You throw out the hostile takeover. The Wayward's still a little bit far away from that. And JDG just, once again, just keep trying to use Hope to make sure that no pressure comes through.
Every time I see a Glacial Path from Knight, I think this is going to be the moment that Top Esports take us to a Game 5. JDG have still, however, as Orcs alluded to, not set up the waves, not aligned them, and have not broken the base yet.
Top Esports need to sync these waves, right? They keep just clearing the waves immediately on the enemy side.
Oh, maybe they don't care. They found 369. The Pillar, beautiful. TN might have set up the Game 5. The Summer MVP comes in, clutches. 369 is dead, and the rookie top laner stands taller. Now with the inhibitor down as well, TES are running from Yagao, but they have shattered the base and opened up what they came to do.
And I just love how Top Esports are playing for small advantages. They know that's exactly what they need to do. When you literally have the championship on the line, you don't need to over-aggress for too much. Hostile takeover didn't hit anything. They already had a wave set up in top, and they can just keep looking to expand this gold lead.
Yeah, I definitely think they could have potentially gotten more if they managed it better, but they still get a significant amount, right? They break the base in the mid lane. That means if JDG lose another fight, there's a good chance they just run mid and end.
Yeah.
And they also pick up the tier 2 top, the tier 2 bot. There's towers that give that extra gold to really pump out this gold advantage. 7,500 ahead, super significant now. And we see here, 369 feeling confident to contest the wave, but the snap engaged the pillar as well. Trapped him against the tower.
Beautiful. I mean, just great to come in, and you can see here after they are able to get this pick, JDG thinking they could fight, and Top Esports kind of set up a re-engage with the hostile takeover, but it doesn't connect, so they aren't able to do anything.
And it just feels crazy, you know, looking at this Wayward versus 369. I know we saw it in lane, but again, with 369 getting punished down, we are talking about the new member of Top Esports, the one that came in after Qingtian, and when Zoom was on the roster as well with the trade from JDG. 369 went over to JDG, excelled, but Wayward had to build himself up in his rookie year. And now with his first finals, it could also be his first Game 5 too.
And yeah, just great to see come out from Wayward to be able to step up in this moment. But 369 still trying his best to find an avenue back into the game.
Yeah, I do think one of the problems is, though, this Renekton is just at 3 items.
Yeah.
Wayward is like a full item and a half ahead. Kanavi is behind compared to Tien, but also Tien just needs to be super bulky. As we look towards the next dragon, if Ocean Soul is picked up by Top Esports, their front line is so bulky, a lot of Sivir's damage is chip damage, it could really negate that pressure.
But Yagao's just walked in with the pillar there, the charm's good, but the problem is that Jackalove now just free-firing away, lightning crunch down, hits as Hope and missing her in a choke. First Renata versus Knight. We know every time they face, it looks like a potential Game 5 as Hope still stands alive though, and Knight has used his damage as he goes golden. He needs to survive, but 369 at max range getting hit by Wayward. JDG on ahead. There's breath. Top Esports to the top. It's a summer split final after all. As Wayward runs in, Jacula picks up Yagao. Hope flashes over, and Top Esports write the script themselves.
Top Esports, I mean, they already have an inhibitor down. They might not have the wave, but they could just look to go cruise in.
Oh, he got him.
Game.
Misting's going to be the last one to die. 369 actually almost taking it away. And as they run through mid, Top Esports from the brink of despair, from JDG getting to match point, they knew that there had to be a game 5, because when history stares you in the face, you stare it right back and say that you're willing to go the distance. As with death time is here, is it too early? We've got 15 seconds for Yagao, we've got 20 here for Hope, but Top Esports again don't care on the next start on Kadavi. That'll be it. Knight survives, and TES will take us to the finisher in our 2022 Summer Grand Final.
It couldn't be any other way. Going to a game 5 once again, Top Esports came out so much stronger in this game. It felt like all the others were so much of a back and forth. It didn't feel like Top Esports really lost too much control in this one, but the end was such a convincing finish here, and they managed to push us to this next one. It has been blue side